Hello, it is Pam Turner, your lovely social work teacher, and it is Friday, the 22nd of June, and I just want to say hello to you, and I hope that you have a wonderful weekend. Before we start, we always start with a wonderful motivational speech or saying. I have them all over my office, and I try to update them as I go along. So I found this one yesterday, and I just pulled it off my wall. It says, "But don't you go and become someone that you're not. Cry, scream if you have to, then straighten out your crown and keep moving." I'll read it again. I really like this one. But don't you go and become someone that you're not. And many of us are people pleasers, and we end up changing kind of our personality and who we are to please the people in our lives. Cry, scream if you have to, then go and straighten up your crown and keep moving. So that are my words of wisdom for the week. So know who you are and be proud of who you are, and don't let anyone change who you are. So I will let you know that it's a reminder that we do have a test. The test is open today, 6/22. It closes on 6/24 at midnight. You need to download that test, fill it out, upload it, and by 24th at midnight, I will not grade any late submissions, and I will not grade anything emailed to me. It does have to be in that submission box. So you got plenty of time to work on it this weekend. Get it done. Get her done. Let's see here. So to comment on last week's post also, it's not close to 24th, so just a comment on this one. That disposition, guys did a really good job, first of all. Those intake forms, I knew that they were tough, and it gets tougher as we go. But on those intake forms at the bottom, the disposition is, what are you going to do with them next? So when a person comes to your agency, sometimes the intake is done over the phone, sometimes it's done face-to-face. And either way, at the end of the intake, we have to make a decision whether or not the client is appropriate for our agency. Sometimes they are, and sometimes they're not. So many of you at the bottom wrote intake by, and you put your name. So the intake is great, but then who do you refer them to? In most agencies, you're not the same person that's going to the intake and referral. So when you write the disposition, it is, refer to Johnny Jones, refer to Sam Smith, or refer to a different agency. So if our agency can't handle what that person's needs are, then refer them to someplace else. We don't ever say we just can't help you. We just make a referral to a different agency. So good job on those, but that disposition form, that is what that means. So now we're going to talk about the next two chapters are the DSM and the MSE, letters, acronyms. We use professional verbiage so we sound really smart. The DSM is the Diagnostic Statistician's Manual, and that really is how we diagnose people. There are 5 axes on there, and at this state in your education, you will not be diagnosing people, but I do want you to understand how it works because you will see those diagnoses everywhere. It is similar to the IC9, and that is the medical field, where people actually, come in with a upper respiratory infection, and the doctor writes, you have a cold, he writes upper respiratory infection, so your insurance will pay for it. It's very much the same way with the DSM. That is our manual of how we diagnose people, what their diagnosis is. So there's lots of YouTube videos out there. If the reading doesn't help you enough, be sure that you understand that clearly. And the MSE is a mental status exam. That is usually a brief exam, and many of you may have had it before. If you ever had a car accident or you're in the emergency room with some head trauma, they'll do a brief mental status exam. How are you? What's your day? What do you like? What's going on with you? Who's the president? What year is it? Things like that. Now, the extended mental status exam is the one that you are going to use, and there's probably some vocabulary in there that you are not familiar with. I suggest that you Google, you learn it, because that is very common in our field. Part of being a professional is learning to speak the terminology. So there's what was their appearance? Were they disheveled? Disheveled means their clothes aren't neat. There are days that you're disheveled when you're running to Walmart. Yeah, we all have. But that's what that means. So there are some terms in there that you probably will not understand. So learn them. Learn them. It's very important. Okay, so and this one is our next step. So after someone comes in for an intake, then they refer to the agency, and then the agency does a very thorough background. This is called a psychosocial, social history, or behavioral background. They're all the same, and pretty much every agency has their own. So this is a brief one that you will do. This one is not in the book. You will use the one I'm giving you now. I will upload it, and then you may I'm hoping it's a writable form so you can write on it and then you will send it back. And again, you will comment on your peers. Don't forget that. Don't forget to get all those points by commenting on your peers. And it is due by the Wednesday of the week. So the book talks about when a client first comes in and, you want to make yourself nice and warm and friendly because they're nervous. They're scared to death of why they're in this office. They're not sure if they're here for counseling or because someone made them. They're just terrified. So it's, hi, come on in. I'm Pam Turner. Let's come on in and get started. And I'm not a secretary. I am not drilling people for their information. I'm a counselor. I'm warm and I'm genuine. And I'm really just trying to get the information that I need. When it comes to the demographics, like the first name, all that good stuff, I've got to make sure I spell that right. So I may take some time and say, and how did you spell that? And what school? And I want to get that right. I really do. After that, I really want to focus on the client, and it is a process of learning how to fill out this form and also work with the client. And many of you in last time's video, you were like drilling the client, not last semester, drilling the client to get the information. Yes, we need the information, but it's about the relationship. And many times this information that comes out sometimes is not always the truth. They may not tell you the first time that, someone else lives in the house and or the dad is still there. So it really is just kind of the focus is on that empathy, that warmth, and that genuineness. And yes, trying to get the paperwork done, but we are social workers. We're case managers. We are not secretaries. Okay, so some information here. Your legal guardian. What is your legal status? Is there someone in your family? What's going on here? You want to fill that out. Again, this is a psychosocial development on a child, and you do have to pick a child. The child needs to be at least able to have a conversation with you and not your child. So you have plenty of time. You can pick a friend's child, pick a neighbor's child, pick a cousin. I don't care, but you will need the parent information. So find a child and be sure you get this one done. Not your own child, but you can use your friend's child if the friend's maybe dad or whatever will be around, because you have to ask them questions. Also, it does say marital status. All we're looking for is information. We're not judging. I know if they're not married, we're not going to say you're not married. That's not it. We're social workers. We don't judge. We don't care. We're looking about just what's going on. So as you go down, I'm just going to highlight some things here. And you will see there are other things going on in the house. Does mom live with her girlfriend? Does dad live with his boyfriend? Again, no judgment, no judgment. We're just trying to get all the information we can. List the names of the children of all the people that live in the residence and their primary language. We want to know what their primary language is. That tells us a lot about the culture of the family, and also we want to make sure that we are being culturally sensitive, that if we're sending home forms, that they are forms that are written in a language that they understand. That is that important. Okay, as we go down here, we are looking at some erasing. My eraser tool, I don't know about that. There we go, my eraser tool. So, is a child taking meds? That's, again, one thing I just want to make sure that I get a yes or no when I understand what medications they're on. If they're on several different medications, then I'm going to write them down. If I don't know what they are, I may just Google them later, depending on the time. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time researching medication when the goal, again, is to bond with this family. That is my goal. Okay, so let me go back. Okay, and again, I am looking at any vision problems, any health problems, anything, developmental milestones. You should know those. You should know what age children sit up and what age they walk. If you don't know, be sure you Google that. And not what your child did, what developmental class says. So your child may have been potty trained when they were 1.5, but the developmental milestone says we're not concerned until a child is at least 3. So be sure that you are getting the correct information, not just what mom and them said. We do critical thinking, critical learning, not what our child did. And I'm glad your child did early or late, but that is certainly not the best way. Okay, again, we're looking for other issues, or oral motor skills. Can they chew solid food? Can they drink from a cup? What age did that happen? That's what we're looking for. Independent living skills, when could they dress themselves? Long questionnaire here. All the other things we're looking for. Okay. Their social skills. How does the child get along with the peers? School information. Okay. So what you want to do then, after you finish all of this, you're going to ask the parents any other information that they have about this child. Now, we're going to reuse this form for a different one, so be sure after you have finished it that you save it and you get really good information. So this is a psychosocial intake form. It needs to be on the child, and again, not your child, and they need to be verbal. So 4, 5, 6, I can have a conversation, and then also be able to have their parent around. Okay, I appreciate you for this information, and this will end my broadcast for today. And I will say, don't forget the test. Don't forget to respond to your peers, please, with very good, not just brief, very good sentences. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll see you next time.